I remember last time we spoke, you gave me advice, and it was really good advice, which is triple down, quadruple down on your podcast, which is what I've done, and it's been great advice. And then you went off and did another TV show. So just what was the story of that? Like Vince Vaughn approached you?
Yeah,
blah,
Vince.
blah, blah.
So Vince Vaughn, who had listened to my podcast, reached out through his production company to do a television show, which would in effect be the podcast on stage, with the ability to pull in clips and visuals and so on that we could use for storytelling. And when I'm looking at opportunities like that and many others, I view them through a few filters now. So number one is, what is the opportunity cost? And what is the total ask in terms of my responsibilities? Do they want to work with me for just production, in which case maybe it can be encapsulated in a 2-week period of time where we batch everything, which is what we ended up doing in terms of...
And I want to say why this is important in this context. Your first TV show, when I watched that, I actually feel bad for you because I realize you're given kind of assignment and a week to get good enough on drums to perform with Barner on stage or something like that.
Right.
That requires so much work and filming. I could never imagine doing it.
It's inconceivable to me that we went on that suicide mission. I'm very happy with how that was the Tim Ferriss experiment, how it turned out, but it was such a painful and punishing experience for everyone. I mean, we filmed for 13 weeks straight. So if there was an injury, if I broke one of my ribs or tore every muscle in both legs from a fall, which happened, or split some muscle in my forearm, too bad. It's you wrap it up, you go see a doctor, you do what you can, and then you're onto the drums.
And 13 weeks, so that's a quarter of a year of your life. You can't really do anything else.
Yeah, no, you can do zero else. And also because I was overestimating my bandwidth. So I was not only on camera trying to do, in some cases, some very dangerous things like parkour and rally car racing and so on. Some really dangerous stuff, which led to quite a few injuries. It was really an insane process. But I think for the majority of my life, I've prided myself on having a very high pain tolerance and an ability to hold complexity in my mind in a way that may be somewhat uncommon. So I can handle complexity. I can really keep a lot of pieces up in the air at the same time.
What do you mean by complexity?
What I mean by complexity in this case is many different moving pieces. So imagine, say, like a fine watch where you flip it over and you look at the casing and it's clear and you can observe thousands of tiny mechanical details that hold this small thing together. Mentally, I could compartmentalize many of these pieces and interrelate them in a way so that I could pattern match, but I could also hold quite a few bits at the same time. To reel it back, just to come back to your original question, in the last few years, what I've been asking instead is, what might this look like if it were easy? That question has changed my life in so many ways in the last few years. What would this look like if it were easy? Number one, things wouldn't be scattered. So the filming would have to be batched. Right. Number two, there would be no protracted negotiation whatsoever. So there would be certain non-negotiable pieces that I knew would be straining the boundaries of what a normal deal looks like. What are the worst things that could happen? What are the pieces I don't control? Right. So in distribution, it could be we make this great show and then it gets put out, but for whatever reason, only a few thousand people see it. How do I protect against that? Is there anything that I could do to counteract that? And so on and so forth. So what would this look like if it were easy? Well, I would have them help with guest booking and all logistics. What would this look like if it were easy? I wouldn't try to reinvent the wheel. So instead of trying to become James Lipton of Inside the Actors Studio or something, I would spend at least half of the time that I'm interviewing them using what I already know works, like the rapid fire questions and, what books have you gifted the most to other people and why? These questions that I know tend to pull out really good conversations.
Winning, duh.